attendance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And can I get a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
A second? You have a second? And any discussion? All those in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, agenda is approved. Which brings us now to recognition of students, staff, and public. And the first thing on the list is the district food drive 2017 results. And for that, I will call up Tiffany Shermack and Patty Schultz to the podium, and I'll join you over here. And Heather Starks is also going to join us. As a liaison to the school board's Youth Advisory Council, it's my pleasure to extend our sincere gratitude to the students, parents, and staff who participated in this year's 9th annual district-wide food drive. This annual event is organized and led by the PTSA Council and our Youth Advisory Council. This year, our schools, departments, and businesses and civic partners collected over 19,000 pounds of non-perishable foods and $9,104 in cash for a combined 64,786 pounds when the cash is converted to pounds of food. Since 2009, when we started the food drive here in Bloomington, we have collected over 400,000 pounds of food for our community, and I think that's just an amazing feat. All donations go to help our friends at the Bloomington-based Veep, volunteers enlisted to assist people who serve nearly 8,000 people each month, half of which are children. So once again, thank you very much.
Hi, good evening. As Rick said, I'm Tiffany Shermack, and I'm president of the PTSA Council. Every year, it gets better and better in terms of the way that we're able to draw on our business partners in our community. So we encourage each school and each part of our district to partner with a business that then also during the food drive week, they also are collecting through their employees. So we really appreciate our business partners. They included this year Anytime Fitness, Avtex, the City of Bloomington Police and Fire Departments, General Dynamics, Loeffler Companies, Martin Luther Care Centers, Olympic Place Office Tower, Richfield Bloomington Credit Union, Thorud, Toro, Yale Mechanical, and Walzer Buick GMC. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Patty Schultz from Veep to say a few words on behalf of Veep.
So, good evening, everyone. I'm Patty Schultz. I'm the Advancement Director at Veep, and I don't even know how we can say thank you. The support that comes from not only Bloomington Public Schools and so many of you in this room, but our larger community as well, that is really focused on helping Veep do what it does best, to provide healthy, nutritious foods for families, individuals and families throughout our community. This drive is amazing. The warehouse right now, I wish you should be having your meeting there to see how full it is. I am not exaggerating to say that all week, last week and still even today, the volunteers are a little bit grousing because they are working so hard sorting and organizing all this food for the shelves. So thank you so very much. There are hundreds and hundreds of families that will benefit from this food that you have so generously shared with us. So thank you for your partnership.
So as a part of the food drive, the PTSA Council, along with the Youth Advisory Council, sets up a little friendly competition between the schools in the different district areas. And so Heather Starks, our Vice President of Council, is also here with me to present this year's school winner is Westwood Elementary. for the second year in a row. So the PTA president, Jason Thiel, is here. If he'd come on up to accept the We Believe trophy.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Like to say a few words and tell us your secret to success.
Secret? We don't have a secret. We actually try to share all of our information with all the schools because we want everyone to do well for Veep. But last year we did well because we went into the neighborhood for the first time and the kids really brought the food and the cash to the school. This year we expanded to the entire Westwood district, which is huge if you ever have seen it on the map. And we had such a generous neighborhood. Just the first day of our Veep food drive for the neighborhood and the first day of collection for the kids, we had 2,800 pounds of food. And then in the next 2 days, the kids brought in another 1,000 pounds. So we had 3,800 pounds just for our school alone. And we couldn't have done it without the kids, the staff, and the community of Westwood and the whole neighborhood. So thank you. Go Veep.
I'd just like to thank everybody again for participating. I know sometimes with all the standardized testing and the focus on math and reading and science scores, we sometimes forget about cultivating good people in our schools. And there's a lot that we can teach our students that can't be measured on standardized tests. And I think that feeding our community for a week goes a lot deeper than sometimes we put focus on some of these other things. So thank you again very much. And if you want, this would be a great photo op. Does someone have a camera? They want to take a picture real quick? Sure. Yeah, this is perfect. So thank you again, and I'll just stall. I'll say a few more words while this little guy tries to run away, and then everyone say cheese. It's in there. All right. So thank you very much, everyone. And while I'm here, and I thought they were still going to be standing here next to me. I just want to say thank you to the entire PTSA Council for their work this year, and especially to Tiffany Shermack, President, and Heather Starks, Vice President, for their leadership this year for the PTSA and in our food drive. So thank you very much. Yeah, that was great, the way that they just lined up in the corner like that. All right. That brings us to the next item, the State DECA Award winners, and I believe Debbie Belfry will come forward, our Career Development Coordinator, to say a few words on behalf of our award recipients.
Good evening. My role really tonight is to introduce our fabulous business teacher from Jefferson High School, Eric Ressler, and he's going to introduce 3 students that are involved in the DECA program and also tell you a little bit about that program and what they've been doing the last month.
Well, thank you for having us here. I am Eric Ressler. I'm the DECA advisor over at Jefferson High School. We had the privilege of bringing 6 students to the national conference in Anaheim last week. 3 of the girls were not able to be here, but they competed in the school-based enterprise. They wrote a 50-page paper about our manual basically on the school store and what they do with that and the finances and those sorts of things with it. And then these 3 young men were able to go to Anaheim with us as well. And I'm going to pass it off to Danny Boy to tell you a little bit about DECA and then introduce Charlie and Ben as well.
Thank you, Mr. Ressler, and then good evening to the board members as well as community members present tonight. For those of you who don't know what DECA is, allow me a moment to give a little bit of an explanation for what this funny word means. DECA is a co-curricular business and marketing organization that prepares future leaders and entrepreneurs in high school and colleges across America for fields in marketing, finance, hospitality, and tourism, as well as management. This year we did very well in our competition. We had 22 members enrolled in our chapter this year, 20 of whom advanced to the state level competition. The 2 of whom who did not were competing in a very competitive event and made it very close to competing at state in March. Then we had 6, as Mr. Ressler mentioned, move on to international competition in Anaheim, California. Standing next to me are Ben Jordan and Charlie Mackey. Ben participated in personal finance, the personal finance series, and Charlie in the business finance series. Both of these gentlemen very good at math. It's not my forte. I wrote a 30-page manual on the career focus of sports and entertainment operations research and placed 5th at state, and then Charlie taking 6th place at state as well. And we'd just like to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to be recognized here tonight.
I'm going to add one other thing. Danny Boy is the state high school DECA president.
Oh, wow.
And that is a huge honor, and he didn't mention that, but I wanted to make sure we called that out tonight.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Is there a song named after him? Danny Boy?
You'll have to ask him about it.
He'd probably never heard that joke before, I'm guessing.
What was the question?
If there's a song written for you about you.
It's funny you bring that up. I actually sang a line of Oh Danny Boy in my campaign speech last November when running for office. Unfortunately, allergies are preventing me from singing it again, but it's quite a sight to see.
Well, thank you very much for being here, and I wish you much success.
Thank you.
Thank you. I believe Ms. Belfry will lead us in the next one, Future Leaders Chamber Business Education.
Yes, I am very happy, Chair and school board members, Superintendent Fujitaki, to be able to introduce my colleagues and those people that help coordinate this program. This is a collaborative program that we've been doing with the Bloomington Chamber of Commerce with both Jefferson and Kennedy. And so I am just going to go down the line and introduce who's here with us tonight. So thank you for having us. Maureen Scallon-Failer is the Bloomington Chamber President. Next to her is Adam Filipich, who is a financial consultant with AXA Advisors, and Eric Ressler, again, from Jefferson High School, representing the teachers, also at Kennedy, Dan Gasner and Jesse Varvrick, who couldn't be with us tonight. So Eric is the representative for the teachers tonight. Maureen?
Great. Thank you, Debbie. Mr. Chair, school board members, it's that time of year. Here we are again. And it really is an honor to be here today to talk about the Bloomington Future Leaders Program. This program really is a program that's near and dear to my heart. We have put a lot of time, effort, and resources into this program because these are our future leaders. And we want to engage and participate and ensure that the students who are in the Bloomington Public Schools can succeed as they go on into life. These students that we have participating do participate in the business curriculum, which helps us build the shell for the Future Leaders Program. And I really would like to acknowledge and thank Les Fujitaki, our superintendent, and you, the school board, who help support this initiative. I know we have a couple of school board members that are actively involved in the Future Leaders Program, and I want to let you know that really makes a difference when our business members see our school board members suiting up and showing up. So thank you very much for that. Our mission, the Future Leaders Program is a joint effort between the Bloomington Public Schools and the Chamber of Commerce. This program provides opportunities for chamber members and students at Jefferson and Kennedy High Schools to build relationships with each other and gain insight into different aspects of businesses in Bloomington and the South Metro area. I believe this program really has taken off and it continues to grow in the Chamber of Commerce. And we would not be able to do that without our steering committee. And Debbie has mentioned some of the folks who are up here at the table, but we have a lot of other people. And our teachers from Kennedy were not able to be here tonight. But it takes a village to get this program off and running. So myself, Debbie, Dan Gasner, Cheryl Martin, Kevin Mendel, Alex Monette, Adam Filipich, Eric Ressler, Tamara Sieve, Jesse
Fabric.
Thank you. And there is one other person that is not on air, and her name is Anna Stinson, and she is the office manager, and she really is what makes this program run very smoothly and effectively. So I would like the people in the audience who I just mentioned, if you could stand up so we could acknowledge you. Cheryl, Anna, thank you. So what helps us put on this program are our partners and our sponsors, and I would like to just recognize those businesses here today in front of all of you. If it weren't for our businesses, we would not be able to provide this program. So the Mall of America is our presenting program sponsor for the Bloomington Future Leaders Program, and I know you all know how the mall really is a true partner to our community, and we are so fortunate to have them in the city of Bloomington. College and Career Academy, the Hilton Minneapolis Bloomington is where we've held our conferences. Centerpoint Energy, the Holiday Inn, RBCU, the Rotary Club, Noon is another great partner, and then of course all of you from the Bloomington Public Schools. This is what I'm most proud of, and these are what we call our fast facts. And I think this is a slide I want you to remember as we move forward, because every year these numbers get bigger and it gets better. So we have served over 200 students in the 2016-17 school year. 39 businesses are involved, whether it's through volunteering at mock interviews or at our conferences. 12 are repeat volunteers. These are what I call the diehards of the Chamber of Commerce, but they truly have a passion for education, and they want to do everything possible to help our students succeed. 125 hours of staff time, and that's primarily Anna and a few others. That does not necessarily account for my time and my investment into this program. 330 hours of the steering committee's times. I want you to know that Debbie and our teachers show up after school, before school. We spend time during the summer to build this program, to strategically figure out what we're going to do to be successful. And it's a very committed group of individuals. This is another number that continually grows every year by $2,000 or $3,000, and it's the investment. This is the investment again that the Bloomington businesses and the Chamber puts into this program, and it's $17,000. And I think that's significant because when we first started this program, it was under $10,000. So people and the businesses and the members truly believe in what we're doing. Here's another number, $7,500 in the scholarship fund, and you're going to be hearing from some of our recipients for this year. We started at $3,000, and we just started our scholarship program, 4 years ago? Okay. And so every year, this number increases, and how we come to this number is through our signature events, and those are our gala and our golf. Our businesses truly want to help our students succeed. So this is the investment and what I see the return on the investment as well. So now I'm going to turn it over to Adam.
Actually, you're going to turn it over to Eric.
Eric.
Yes, I get the pleasure to tell you what the students actually do during the Bloomington Future Leaders program. The first thing we do in the fall is we have a Bloomington Future Leaders kickoff where Chamber members come into the classroom and kind of tell the students. They hold one meeting at Jefferson and one meeting at Kennedy and explain to students what the Chamber of Commerce is, what the Future Leaders program is, kind of what they're going to be doing this year with it. Then the main thing we do in the fall is we have a fall conference with Stevie Ray as the keynote speaker. And I've probably seen him 5, maybe 10 times, and I know I learn something new every time that he talks. He's just an amazing man that teaches them about networking and how to present yourself and how to introduce yourself and talk to people and that sort of thing. And I know that's definitely a highlight of the program. In the winter, we host Jefferson Career Day as a DECA club, and I bring in Chamber members to help do different small groups there, but the key one is making a positive first impression in business. Basically, they talk about how to make resumes, how to do interviewing, and those sorts of things with usually 2 small groups of about 30 students each for that. Then we have more chamber members come into the classroom and talk to the students about scholarship applications. A lot of it is geared towards the Bloomington Future Leaders Scholarship, but it's also in general, how to apply for scholarships, how to write essays for scholarships, how to find scholarships in a bigger picture than just this one scholarship. And we have a second conference in the winter as well, focusing on adversity and diversity. And here we have a few different keynote speakers. We had a former student come in and talk about how she struggled with getting into the college of her choice and what she did to fix that and change that to be able to eventually get into the college that she wanted to. And we had Coach Larry McKenzie and Nick come in, who used to work together at Holy Angels, but just about challenges and adversity that they've been through. And then lastly, in the spring, which we're coming up to now, we have our scholarship process, which is just finished. And next week, we'll have mock interviews where we'll have about 20 chamber members come to Kennedy High School. And all of the Jefferson students who are in my internship program and all the Kennedy students who are in their internship program come and go through mock interviews and job interviews to see how they're doing and get feedback on those interviews. And then the last slide I have here, as we go through all of these activities, students are writing reflections and telling us what they think about the program and how it's going. And so on the screen now are just 4 quotes that we've pulled from Jefferson and Kennedy students saying what they got out of the program and what they liked about the program.
All right, well, we moved on to the next slide, so I'm going to assume you all had a chance to read through those carefully. Obviously, the focus of tonight is really to talk about the impact that we're trying to have on our students here in Bloomington. And, we hope and we really believe that this is a really solid program that gives them experiences. But it's also been a great program and platform for our chamber volunteers as well. I came in originally as a chamber member just looking to volunteer, learn more about this program, and kind of got involved slowly to the point where I was, when we started the scholarship program, I was able to chair that subcommittee, and now I'm chairing the steering committee. So really had an opportunity to get to know a lot of the chamber volunteers, and the next slide that you're seeing is some of the feedback that we get from them. So, I tell the students when we have our conferences, the 2 main things or the 2 themes that I hear the most from the chamber volunteers once they've participated in these conferences is, oh my gosh, I can't believe how sharp these students are. And why didn't we have anything like this when I was in high school? And it's something that for the last 3, 4, 5 years, I hear that regularly. I mean, it's just people really enjoy it. They're really impressed by our students. I personally can say I am as well, because I get a chance to, again, heading up the scholarship program, get a chance to know some of our brightest here. So, but these are just some quotes that we've gotten from chamber members again over the last year after they're having a chance to interact with our students. And I mentioned the scholarship program. Again, that's something that's grown largely due to the enthusiasm of Maureen. I'll leave it at that. But she really is the one that pushes for this, really works hard to make sure that we can fund it and that we're able to grow it each year. So I owe her a lot of thanks for that, because it makes my life a lot easier when I'm not having to fight for those scholarship dollars so hard. But this year we had 8 different scholarship winners. The process that we go through, they have to submit an application that includes a resume. They have some essay questions they have to write. They have to turn in a few different pieces as well, transcripts and so forth. And from that we go through, we have a team of evaluators that scores them, and then we pick some finalists, and those finalists come in and actually do a panel interview. So this year there were 3 of us on the panel that had a chance to meet with each of them face to face, which I know can be a little bit of an intimidating process, but you guys all did great. So I'm going to stop talking here for a few minutes, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves quickly and let you know a little bit about their plans and what they've learned through the Future Leaders Program.
I'm Chanel Young. I'm a senior at Jefferson High School, and I plan to continue furthering my education at the University of Washington in Seattle. And I really enjoyed the program because I got to experience networking with all these different people that I've got to meet, and also I liked how I could try out like the mock interviews, how I would like experience them when I'm older. And I'd also like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and everyone who could give me and all these other people the opportunity for the scholarship.
I'm Catherine Morozic. I go to Kennedy High School. This fall, I plan to attend St. Catherine University, studying occupational therapy and dancing on their dance team. And my favorite part about the Future Leaders program is attending the conferences, because I learn so much and I feel very prepared for any job opportunity that comes. And I'd also like to thank the Chamber for the scholarship. It's been very helpful, so thank you.
Hi, I'm Blake Leon, and I go to Jefferson High School, and I will be attending University of Wisconsin Stout next year. My favorite part about the program was having all these unique opportunities that I never would have had before. And I would also like to thank the Chamber for the scholarship.
My name is Arya Kramarchuk, and I go to Jefferson High School, and next year I plan to attend the College of St. Benedict to study either nursing or pre-med. And my favorite thing about the Bloomington Future Leaders program was attending the conferences, because I got to have a lot of networking opportunities, and I learned a lot from them, and I'd also like to thank the Chamber for this opportunity.
Hi, I'm Olivia Holland. I'm a senior at Jefferson High School. Next year I'll be attending the University of St. Thomas, majoring in business, hopefully on the path to law school. And the Bloomington Future Leaders program helped me pinpoint what my goals are for the future. And I met a lot of really interesting people along the way. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Priscilla Rosa. I go to Jefferson High School. This fall, I also plan on attending the University of St. Thomas. My favorite part about this program, other than the conferences, was the internship class that I was in. I was able to get out in the real world and gain some experience, and that's been very helpful.
Hi there, again. I'm Danny Boy. I'm a senior at Jefferson, and this fall I will be attending the University of Minnesota Duluth for a degree in computer science. And I would have to say the best part about the Bloomington Future Leaders program is the amazing networking opportunities. I can say I know Adam and Maureen well, which is a pleasure, as well as a lot of the other chamber members who help out in the conferences. And I would just like to say thank you for all the amazing opportunities over the past 4 years.
Right. So these are just some of the best and the brightest that we have had the privilege to work with. And of course, there's one thing I do have to say, girl power, yes. Danny, you're a great guy. Great guy. But just two last comments I'd like to leave and share with all of you this evening. We are venturing on to what I see some very challenging times for the business community. Workforce development is going to be critical as we move forward. And myself, Superintendent Fujitaki, the City of Bloomington, Greater United Way, people from College and Career Academy, we are all working very hard, very, very hard to develop a program here in Bloomington to help workforce initiative and workforce development. I love the fact that we are here. We've got great students that I can award scholarships to, but I think it's also important for all of us to be aware that not every student is cut out to go to a four-year college. And these students are great, and they're bright, and they're very talented young individuals. And we need to invest in those students as well. So I'm here tonight to commit to you from the Chamber of Commerce that we will be there at the table to do what we can to develop a workforce initiative program here in the city of Bloomington. But with that being said, I'm going to expect each and every one of you to help us achieve this. It's going to be rolling up the sleeves, and it's going to be working hard, and it's going out and getting the necessary funding. Funding is going to be critical, and I can't stress that enough. So I'm here to leave you with a lasting thought that Maureen's going to be back. But again, I see this as a true partnership. We want to expand this program. We want to continue the scholarship. But there is a critical need. We are at a critical time where we can no longer sit and talk about how we're going to solve workforce issues. We now have to act and develop the plan and execute. So again, thank you so much for your time. It's always a privilege to come before the Bloomington Public School Board of Education, and thank you so much for all your work and your volunteerism that you do to make our school district successful. Thank you. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Mr. Chair, before you all leave, I just wanted to add, I guess you can be seated because this is mainly for Maureen. I wanted to add a special thank you to Maureen and the Chamber of Bloomington. Maureen and I recently attended a special event hosted by Wallen Education Partners. And this is an organization that goes out of its way to partner in making college graduation a reality for lower income students in our community, many of whom are first generation or students of color. Now, at a time when Minnesota needs skilled talent, many students are unable to afford college or to persist in graduation, and many do not receive the essential support and financial aid that is needed to graduate. Wallen Education Partners offers a solution. As a result of their highly effective program, and due to the generosity of donors, 9 out of 10 scholars in this program will graduate. And over the years, it started out with one student at South High School and has since gone on to several communities and districts throughout the metro area. Since it has started, nearly 4,000 students have graduated, and they've had $44 million donated for their success. Partners work together to support the students, and the donors, business donors, believe that education, particularly a college degree, makes the American dream possible for many students and their families. And we could cite many examples of students who just needed a little extra boost, and they were able to get it from the Wallen Education Partners. We in Bloomington haven't quite reached that point yet, but as of last, I guess it was the first of the year, we do now have 2 candidates, applicants, that are going to be receiving donations from somebody. There's a private donor in Bloomington as well as the businesses. But what Maureen and the people at Wallen and I have tried to do is to make sure that all the Bloomington businesses are aware, and as they look to increase their student workforce, one of the best ways of doing it is maybe partnering together and making the donations possible for these students. And Wallen business, the business people at Wallen organization have mentors and have advisors that work with the student for the 4 years through graduation. And there are so many success stories that it actually choked me up, sort of like I'm getting now, when I heard so many of the stories at this event. But it is just an example of what businesses who are looking for students, if they just know the right networking and the right people to talk to, can contribute and make it a success for so many students. And I just wanted to add that our AVID program that we have here in the district is a great program preparing a lot of our students for the potential of going on to college and receiving these scholarships. So thank you.
All right. Clap one more time. There we go. Anything else? All right, thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you for being here. Now we can clap. And that brings us to Special Education Community Advisory Council Special Caring Awards, and I'm calling upon Jennifer McIntyre. There you are. Jennifer McIntyre, our Executive Director of Special Education, to come up and present for us.
Thank you, Chairman Olivia.
Superintendent Fujitaki and the board members. It is my honor actually to be able to follow our last presentation. We get to celebrate our staff, and some of actually our family members were nominated this year for our Special Education Caring Awards, and it's very exciting. We had 84 nominations this year. We send out nomination letters to parents, students, teachers, general education and special education administrators across the district. And last year we had about 45 nominations, and this year we had 83. So we were very excited about being able to tell all of the stories and share them during our annual banquet. Tonight, I have some guests with me who are going to introduce 3 of our award recipients who are also with us tonight. So our chairperson, Scott Stevens, is with us, and our co-chair, is Andy Keyboard, one of our teachers at Olson Middle School.
There are 3 people here tonight. The first one is Sophia Abdurrahman, and she is from the Office of Equity, and she was nominated by Oak Grove Middle Strive and at Oak Grove Middle. So. You want to do that one?
Next, we have Jan Friedland. She's the case manager for sales at Kennedy. Is she not here? Okay. So then I'll do this one. Right? Then
He's not here.
He's not here either?
Let's do Brian.
Okay.
Do Brian.
So, all right. Next, where's Brian's? Where is this?
It's in here.
Is it right there? Where's Brian's? I don't have it.
Right there.
The next one we have is Brian Renfro, who is actually the son of a former CCAC member and chair of this committee. He works in the transportation as a bus aide, and he was nominated by Dawn Mary from Normandale Hills. And just a little bit of the nomination was that Brian is a bus aide for a student in my classroom. He is always a kind, considerate, and has an interest in the students that ride his bus. He greets the students coming and going from inside the bus. The student from our classroom is excited to see him and responds to his greetings. Brian shows interest in the well-being of the students and is concerned when they are absent. He understands the need for absences and still hopes that students will return the next day. He is very interactive with the staff as well. I enjoy his time with us as we work with the students. The student in my room seems to enjoy it when I tell Brian about something special about his day. The student likes it when Brian continues to ask the student about it or comments about the things I shared. The compassion and interest in the student is seen in how my student interacts with Brian. He has a genuine heart to care for the students that ride the bus. So.
I'm going to read a little bit about Sophia. It's with great pleasure that the Oak Grove Middle Strive staff nominates Sophia Abdirahman for the CCAC Special Caring Award. Sophia has worked tirelessly with the Somali students and families in our Strive classrooms. She serves as an interpreter, attends meetings both in and out of our school building, maintains contact and relationships with our Somali families, and frequently checks in with us to see if she can help us in any way. Thank you.
So I'd like to actually thank all of the staff who were and students. We had one student nominated this year, and we had one spouse nominated this year. So of all of those folks who care for and take care of all of our special education students throughout the course of their time with us from birth through age 21, just a warm thank you for all that they do each and every day to make it a successful day here in Bloomington Public Schools for our students. Thank you.
Some high school students here, part of their government class.
I think they're all trying to hide back
All
there.
trying to hide? All right. A requirement of our 12th grade government classes is to observe a governmental meeting of some sort. Things that they may attend are city council meetings, school board meetings, courtroom proceedings, etc. The Social Studies Curriculum Guide identifies essential standards, one of which is to understand the role and influence of political processes and organizations by examining the role of interest groups, think tanks, the media, and public opinion on the political process and public policy formation. If you would all come forward, give your name and your teacher's name, and in your prepared statement.
Hello, I am Brian Hendricks. My teacher is Mrs. Johnson from Jefferson.
Hello, my name is Maura Mold, and my teacher is also Miss Johnson from Jefferson.
Hi, my name is Alex. My teacher is also Miss Johnson from Jefferson.
My name is Jack Chesso. I'm from Mr. Carlson's government class.
I'm Christian Duvik, and I'm from Miss Johnson's government class.
I'm Austin Quady. I'm from Mr. Carlson's government class.
I'm Evelyn Lennon, and I'm from Mr. Truzinski's government class.
I'm Emily Stoltz, and I'm from Mr. Carlson's government class.
Hello, I'm Trevor Rodriguez, and I'm also from Mrs. Johnson's government class.
Hi, I'm Peter Elliott, and I'm also from Miss Johnson's government class.
Hi, I'm Emily Siebenauer, and I'm from Mr. Truzinski's government class.
Hi, I'm Jacob Gunlock, and I'm from Mrs. Johnson's class.
I'm Lorenzo Minetti. I'm from Mr. Carlson's gov class.
My name's Hoffboy, and I'm from Mr. Carlson's gov class.
I'm Peter Getke, and I'm from Mr. Truzinski's government class.
I'm Ethan Hyde. I'm also from Mr. Truzinski's government class.
I'm Ella Carlson. I'm here from Mr. Truzinski's class also.
All right. And at the close of the session or after 1 hour, whichever is shorter, you can ask for signature on the agenda from any one of our administrative cabinet members sitting at the tables over here. It'll probably most likely be Jennifer McIntyre over there. If you don't have an agenda, it's the green paper over there on the back shelf. So thank you for joining us this evening. Yeah, we can clap. Please say it till the end. And that would bring us to recognition of the public. No one has signed up, but is there anyone here who would like to address the school board on a matter that is not on tonight's agenda? Seeing none come forward, we will move on to Part A of our agenda. Can I get someone to approve, or a motion to approve Part A of our agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Part A includes our board business, the minutes, personnel items, field trip approvals. Is there any discussion about Part A? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving Part A as presented in our board packet, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Part A is approved, which brings us now to Part B. And number one here is Elementary Summer School 2017 update. And it looks like I have Andy Kubis and Deirdre Yarbrough. All right. Thank you.
Good evening. Chair Oliva, Superintendent Fujitaki, school board members, viewing public. We're excited to be here to give you an update on the elementary summer school. With me, I have Deirdre Yarbrough. Deirdre is our learning supports manager. She's relatively new to our department, about a month, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Comes with amazing experience in the schools and also in special education as a social worker, and so she brings a lot of skills to learning supports that we get to use every single day. So welcome officially, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So we came to you about a year ago. At that time, it was myself and Gina Miller telling you about the new summer school plan. And if you recall, we went away from a traditional summer school program to an experiential summer school program. We also came back in the fall and talked to you a little bit about how that went and promised you that we would come back now and give you some kind of data that we could get our arms wrapped around about how, what do we have now and what might we do in the future. So we have a brief update, but certainly wanted to keep you informed and keep our word. As a reminder, these are some of the things that were stalwart to us as we researched what was best practice in a summer school experience. Again, let's be real honest, there's not a lot of kids who want to be at school in July. There's not a lot of teachers who probably want to be at school in July. Nobody really wants to be at school in July. And so a traditional model rarely works. Research shows that it never really does much in a longitudinal way about acquiring success. And so we know that, and what can we design to make sure that we're doing something perhaps through the back door, which is engaging students so we can capture their engagement for the rest of the year. So best practices: small class size, parent-guardian engagement, consistent attendance, opportunities for individualized instruction, focus on academic language, experiential and design, highly engaging, and focus on addressing that opportunity gap. I get to tell the story one more time that spawned this. In the third grade classroom, saw a little girl sitting there. The teacher was reading a book and said, and all the pigs went into the pen. I watched the little girl pick up her pen and look at it, and I know what she was thinking. She was thinking, how did all those pigs get in that pen? She didn't have the experience to know what a farm was or a pen was. And as I've shared with you before, that's how we learn. We have experiences that we attach new learning to. When we all read, if we read the same sentence in a book that said the blue car sped by, we'd all have a different version of blue. And so when a student doesn't have anything to attach their learning to, it doesn't work. So we want to make sure that we give those students those experiences. What has that meant for our programming? The Bloomington Public Schools Summer School is an engaging, thematic, language-rich program. Essential ELA and mathematics standards are embedded. So it's not just experiential, it's the sugar with the pill. You know, we're giving them fun experiences, but the standards and the math are embedded. Week-long theme-based units of study have been developed by the Bloomington Public School teachers and staff. 4 units were developed during last spring, and 4 additional ones have been developed this year that we'll use in summer school. So I'll turn it over to Deirdre to talk a little bit about what's on the docket and some of that work.
Thank you. So based on feedback from students and staff, we asked what do you think students would be interested for the summer, and we came up with 4 new units: weather, animals / dinosaurs, space, and amusement parks. So again, thinking about that engagement piece and that opportunity gap, I'm really excited to see what happens during the amusement park week, because it's going to be great. I think kids are going to love all 4 weeks. We have some really, really creative teachers that have spent a lot of time working on developing these lessons and units, and it's going to be fantastic.
So as a reminder from last year's data, we had 393 students attend. 74% of those students attended at least 95% of the time. So I've been in front of you before talking about how important attendance is in an engagement piece. So 74% of summer school attendance 95% of the time is pretty good. If you extrapolate that out of the 20 days, that means you can only miss 1 day. If you miss 2 days, you're under the 95% in summer school. So point is, we had kids there, and we had kids engaged, and that's very in line with the district average at our elementary sites.
This year we have 535 students registered so far, which is about a 36% increase, which I think we are just, that's just a testament to how fantastic it was last year, how engaging it was, and how fun it was for students and staff. So our goal is to look at those kids who are coming and really try to increase their attendance to 95% of the time, so they can then build on all of those things they're learning come fall.
So with the help of Dr. Heisted and the technology department, I'll have some data for you later on that I wanted to show you that hopefully speaks to the fact that we're engaging kids and we're being able to leverage that throughout the school year.
I think we had shared this last fall, or Andy and Gina had shared this last fall, that after summer school last year, teachers reported that students were either engaged or highly engaged. And what is very interesting about this graph is that we did the same kind of assessment or survey after our targeted services extended day, so the day programming after school during the year, and it had the same results with knowing that taking that model from summer school and making it enriching and hands-on and engaging, as we're doing that during the school year in our after-school program, students are just as engaged, and teachers are noticing that.
So last fall, we talked to you about what the evaluation of success would be. And so we'd be looking at a matched sample analysis comparing students who attend summer session and those who are invited but did not attend, also using MAP scores and some attendance stuff. What we have to report to you tonight is some attendance stuff, but talking with Dr. Heisted, the match sample and the MAP scores will have to come back with that information as the school year ends, as Dr. Heisted's able to put that together. But I want to bring you some attendance stuff that we thought was curious, if not inspiring. So this is success data, that we have here. Students who attended the summer school experience have since attended school at a 95.8% rate. So we took the cohort of students who came to summer school with the help of John Weiser's Department of Technology and Dr. Heisted. We were able to come up with the fact that of that cohort, their average attendance, they come to school 95.8% of the time. The students who were invited to summer school last year, so same cohort of students, if you will, same markers, but did not come, have attended school at a 90.5% rate. And so 5%, Dr. Heisted, if he was here, would say that was significant, is what he would say. And he wants to do more work when we do the match sample stuff. But we're excited about the fact that we're seeing some signs that we're engaging kids in a different way. And so having students come in and being engaged all summer, giving them some confidence, making sure that their part of the program is real important to us. We also want to use this because it is successful. No matter, yes, we have the attendance data here. I'm very confident that the matched analysis work will be the same thing. Anecdotally, we know this is a successful program. Kids are engaged. Kids are excited to come. And so what's exciting for us in learning supports is what else can we be doing now with this program to make it even better? So we've toyed with a couple of ideas that we'll start thinking about. So we had success when I was a principal at Valley View Elementary School. We had success running our summer school in August as you kind of get kids ready for the school year. What if we did something like that with the large summer school? What if we just toyed with that, knowing we're successful now, but what if we did an experiment to see that? What if we looked at different delivery styles and delivery rates? What if we looked at that kind of stuff and looked at our data? What if we looked at, there's a theory out there about educating some of that summer school experience in students' home language? What if some of that was allowable as well? So this we look at as an opportunity to be able to really look at how can we engage students more. We've got some success here, but not resting on our laurels. We want to make sure that we're working harder and harder. So excited to come back as we get into the summer and Dr. Heisted's able to get some more data so that we can show you the things that we're doing. So take any questions, be happy to.
First of all, thanks for coming. Appreciate the information. I had a couple of questions. So your last slide, Andy, was it had the two groups of students. So the students who were invited to the summer experience but didn't attend have attended school at a 90.5% rate.
Correct.
Any idea why they weren't able to come to summer school? Were you able to get any of that information?
We weren't able to get some of that information. I mean, that'd be a great question as we move on. We've identified students now, and some choose not to come. That would be a great thing to start looking at, is asking people why they were not coming. Some of it is just the ability to do that. Other people are traveling. I mean, there's other commitments, but we don't have that data. That'd be something interesting to look at in the future.
Yeah, it just would be interesting to note. And then the one question that I really wanted to ask, and Deidre, you touched on it, I think, on the two slides. What do the kids think? What are they saying? You didn't have any quotes or anything. I know they're excited because we don't live too far from here, and we're active in the summer, and we see them out running and playing and having fun and learning. But what do they say? What are they saying about this?
They loved being there last year, and we don't have any direct quotes from them, but I know through the conversations they had with their teachers, and as parents are calling this year, and they're talking about that their child was there last year, they can't wait. So it's I know, again, anecdotally, I know that they loved it.
Cool. I seem to remember hearing somebody say that it went by too fast, intimating that maybe they wished it was longer. So that, in my mind, that's a positive. So whatever you're doing, just the feedback that I got from the students and staff, something's working right. So
Again,
sorry, go ahead.
credit to Deirdre and her team, as she alluded to, taking this concept now, working with schools, working with the elementary principals, working with the Safari staff to replicate this model in the after-school offerings is really, really important. So now we've got a theory, we've got a basis, we've got a North Star, if you will, that this is what we believe is working to engage kids. And as I keep saying, let's see how far we can take it and what we can do to even make it better.
I was just going to say there was I'm sure you remember from last year, there was a large group of staff that worked really hard on revamping this model and revamping the extended day model. So I just wanted to acknowledge the work that they did because it was a tremendous amount of work.
Yeah, I have two questions. One on the attendance, since we're here. Do you have the attendance of the students that attended before the summer program?
We're getting that. Yeah, that's
Okay.
a good question, Director Bennett. We're getting that so we can see how much that changed.
Okay, yeah, because well, you have those two there. I don't see how the connection there because
Yeah.
it's not really
we'll
cause and
get that
effect.
second part. We had a change in moving to Infinite Campus where there were some,
Okay.
getting the data was the hard part, but we're getting that.
Excellent. So, and then when you were talking about experiential ed with some of these programs, could you give us some examples of what type of experiential activities that the classrooms are doing?
Yeah, if you recall, last fall we had 4 of the teachers come who taught summer school, and they gave kind of testimony, if you will, about what they were doing. But the one that really stood out was the Olympics. That they had done some activities and some stuff around math and reading, but the Olympics, and so it worked out, and it wasn't serendipitous. It was planned well. That it was taught around the same time. And so the quote that I remember one of the teachers talking about is, the students who are in my class will never watch the Olympics the same way again because they have so much knowledge about it. Again, if you want to take that one step further, that's what I had started with. I mean, now they have that schema to be able to hang learning on that they might not have otherwise.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Snow? How many schools, different schools, are they at this summer going to be at?
Yeah, so last year we started the home base being Oak Grove Elementary School. They'll remain at Oak Grove Elementary School, but in all candor, with the work that Deirdre and her team is doing with the expansion, we've moved over into part of it being at Oak Grove Middle School as well, because we're growing and more kids are excited about the opportunity. So we'll host 2 grade levels over here at the middle school.
And the teachers that are involved, some of them might be middle school teachers as well as elementary school teachers.
I'll leave that for Deirdre.
Yep, the posting is open to all teaching staff, and it was also externally posted, and there's a range of staff that will be teaching.
Inside the district also. Yep. That I remember that being the case too. So it's the 4 weeks, and it's those 4 topics, and however the weather turns out, that'll be a good one for week 1 to plan for the next 3 weeks, how the weather should turn out.
So can you give us what weeks it will be held?
July 10th through August 4th.
Okay, thank you.
Come over during the Space Week, and you can walk through the planetarium from the Bell Museum. It's going to be pretty fascinating. Again, one of those experiences that I think not many kids, even my own kids, don't get. So it'll be great.
Yeah, thank you. It will be interesting as we look into the research and evaluation department and how we can link some of this, the result of this with future information. It will be interesting to see how we can link that to graduation later on, as well as college completion. With SLEDs, I know we can figure some of that out. Right. So it will be really interesting to see what comes out of that. A question that I have for you, a couple questions. So you talked about engagement, student engagement during that period of time during the summer school. What about anything that teachers notice in terms of engagement during the school year, this school year, if there's notice any big difference besides attendance, but just engagement in general in the classroom, and also in relationships, you know, kind of like I'd be interested to know a little bit more about that, you know, how the teachers see it from before the kids attended summer school and after they did. And also want to ask you about any challenges. What are the challenges that we still see in this?
So we don't have data on the engagement piece, but those might be good as we think about, because when we get the summer school students, we don't always know what classrooms they'll be in as they get into the next year. But the next step might be that, something for the classroom teacher to say, this student was in summer school, what have you noticed? You know, the trouble you might have with it is you don't have anything to compare it to because they'll have a different teacher the year before, but it might be something to think about. I still think the challenges as we talked is what I started with, that students, many students still don't want to be in a summer school experience. They just want to be with their friends, riding their bike, riding their skateboard, running around. And so trying to make it as appealing as possible. But I think we've done the best we can so far, and like I said, we're excited about doing even more.
Thank you.
If we renamed it the Bloomington Summer Experience. So it's not summer, you aren't going to summer school, you're going to the summer experience.
Okay.
Maybe it's all marketing.
Duly noted.
You'll look for that for next year.
Brought to you by Director Leva, or?
Any other questions? One question that I had is, I believe these are 4 new themes from last year. So if last year was so successful, are you nervous, like, okay, well, you have to come up with 4 new things, or were you tempted to just use the same ones because it worked before?
Not tempted, in the sense that knowing kids need exposure to different areas. Even though all of the themes and all of the lessons are by grade, so they wouldn't be repeating the same content around that theme. We felt it was really important to continue to broaden exposure.
So is there a fair amount of the students that'll be the same students from last year then?
Yes, but I don't have the percentage of that.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was high turnover or low turnover or not. Is there any other questions? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck on the program.
Thank you.
And I believe that then brings us to number 2 on Part B, the math grades K-12 prioritized standards approval.
Mr. Chair,
Dawn?
be it resolved that the School Board of Independent School District 271 approves the prioritized mathematics standards for grades K-12 effective with the 2017-18 school year.
Bring us to discussion.
Good evening, Chair Oliva, Superintendent Fujitaki, and members of the board. We're pleased to be with you tonight. You have some familiar faces in front of you and some new ones as well, so I'm going to introduce everyone so you know who you're speaking with tonight. So next to me is Kelsey Nash. She's one of our instructional specialists for elementary, was guiding the math curriculum review team this year. Next to her is Erin Smith, who is a elementary teacher at Olson Elementary. She teaches math intervention, reading intervention, and then does Title I. And then, of course, you have Marcy Koval next to Erin, and Marcy is our curriculum and instruction specialist for secondary. She led the math curriculum review work for the secondary level this year. And with her tonight is Jody Estrich, who is from Oak Grove Middle School, and she is a math teacher there. And at the end, of course, you know Rachel Jens, who's our lead elementary curriculum and instruction specialist. So I'm going to hand it off to Kelsey to talk with you all about their work.
I just have a question. And for helpfulness, the microphone's there. Could you swing them toward you a little bit and speak into the microphone so that everybody has a chance to hear you? Thank you.
Good evening. So as you may recall, we have a foundational curriculum review cycle in Bloomington. And the way that this works is that we are looking into subject areas every 5 years with where we call the initial phase of the curriculum review. So that's where we're at with math this year. So if you recall, the last time that we looked at the math standards or did a review was back in 2007, 2008. So it's been a while. The state of Minnesota is not releasing the new math standards until 2022, and that's been pushed off now 2, maybe 3 times, which is why we are doing, as a school district, we're having this review now, and we'll do it again when the new standards are released. But it's been so long since we last looked at those standards. So if you can tell by this, the graphic up there, the way that we are working with our teams, we are always continuously looking at curriculum now. So we are shifting from a time where maybe it was a textbook that was purchased and that was something that we used for 5-10 years, to going back and looking at curriculum continuously, and that's where that cycle diagram comes in. This year, at that first part of the process, we prioritized the standards. So the mathematics standards are given to us by the state of Minnesota and in a document. And what we needed to do was look through those benchmarks and those standards and figure out what was essential at every single grade level so that we could tailor our interventions to make sure that we meet every child's needs. Now, keeping in mind that all of the standards that we are told by the state, we teach all of them. So all of the teachers are teaching and assessing the standards at the different grade levels or in the different courses as you'll look through. But in order to create a manageable number of standards that we can reference and utilize again for the interventions that teachers are pulling one-on-one, doing small groups and really focusing in, we create the vertical alignment based on those essentials. So that's what we're presenting you with today. And there's a document that shows how those were prioritized from kindergarten through our intermediate algebra and algebra 2 classes. The K-5 team was made up of representatives from across the school district. We had everybody from pre-K to 5th grade teachers, as well as EL reps, OEE, PAC, GT, QComp. It was great. This year we were able to bring in a lot of people that were very interested and engaged in this work. So thank you to all of the team members that were able to be with us. We've met 4 times, now coming on 5 times throughout this school year to do this work. And sitting next to me is Aaron Smith, who will talk about a little bit more of the work that we've done as a team in just a minute.
And the secondary team was created in much the same way as the elementary team, where we had representatives from each building, as well as the different departments within our district, OEE, GT, special education, QComp, and so forth. So in comparison to years past, I think that this has been a really great way to structure this, because we've had so many different perspectives that represent so many members of our schools, our students, and so it's been a really great process this year.
And our team, through this process, decided to use our National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, their guiding principles and their effective teaching practices to inform our work when we created our aims for Bloomington Public Schools math education program. And you can read them there, but the importance is to align our standards. And so that alignment is both to the state standards and then also alignment between courses and among buildings. Have flexibility in instruction, engagement for learning experiences and how we assess what students know and are able to do. Research-based best practices and resources that we know support learning. The importance of creativity, rigor, and critical thinking in relation to mathematics. We also want to reflect culturally and linguistically, respond to our students. And the last band is really what we believe is that we need to ensure access, equity, and excellence for all. And by all, we mean for each and every learner in Bloomington. So with that in mind, our K-5 mathematics vision or mission statement is that the purpose of math education is to provide opportunities that ensure access, equity, and excellence in mathematical thinking and learning. These opportunities encompass standards-aligned materials and research-based best practices that support quality instruction. In order to ensure that those things are met for our students, we need to provide those things in our instruction.
And the 6 to 12 math mission statement is, the purpose of mathematics education is to provide an environment where students become competent users of mathematics and its applications. We will develop student skills in problem solving, critical thinking, and collaboration so they're prepared to be successful in the 21st century.
I just want to add, too, that the group has spent a lot of time as a K-12 team looking into best practice and looking into how do kids learn math best and how can we reach all of our learners and what do we need to do as a system to make opportunities equitable for everybody. And so that has been a really great experience, getting to work with teachers all the way through the spectrum in both teams. And that when Aaron shared those, the vision or the aims, if you will, those 6 pillars, that came from our team of K-12 teachers. And interestingly enough, that matches very nicely with the National Council of Teachers Mathematics teaching principles. We didn't do that on purpose. It went off of teacher expertise. What do they know the kids need to do and have access to in their classrooms, and then getting to compare that with the research in the body that is National Council of Teachers Mathematics, and that alignment was great to see, and something that I promise was not plugged by Marcy or I when we were planning. It just happened that way, which was great.
So for these instructional programs, to meet the needs of each and every learner, these are the big ideas behind the mathematics education that we want students to experience here. The big ideas are that we want students to understand numbers, ways of representing them, and relationships among numbers and our systems, meanings of operations, and again, those relationships, and then, of course, to have fluent computation and the ability to make reasonable estimates. This really gets at the heart of mathematics education. It's the idea that we want students to appreciate the beauty of mathematics in its own right, and also the utility of mathematics and how they apply it to solve problems in their real world every day.
So the standards prioritization document that you have is what the team has presented as the prioritized standards for kindergarten through our Algebra 2 courses. And so that's what we're here today to seek approval from you to move on with going to our next steps, which will be to align assessments as well as then build our programming and our units around those standards. So those are linked in the presentation, and then they're also, you should have a copy of those as well. So through this process, we've looked for feedback from many different groups. A few of them are up here: the Pathways Advisory Committee, the District Diversity Advisory Committee, building principals, and we've also sought feedback from all K-12 mathematics teachers. So at the elementary level, that was every single licensed teacher that we have in Bloomington had access and the opportunity to provide feedback on that standards prioritization, and many did. And so what they did is they went through in Google Docs and were able to look through and ask any questions to their building representatives or just comment right on there. And then we met as a team and went through and answered those questions together, moved things as we needed to, looked at what standards could fall, could be addressed in another essential standard. Is it addressed in another grade level? And so the team had the whole alignment between kindergarten through our Algebra 2 that they all were looking at the same time. And so we were able to use modern technology, which was fantastic, to sift through, and we had teachers that teach Algebra 1 looking back to, okay, this happens in 6th grade, let's focus on something else as our essentials, because there is a lot of overlap, as you know, with mathematics and how mathematical thinking builds.
When we prioritize the standards and we try to determine what is essential and important and enhancing, we consider 4 lenses. We consider readiness is one of the lenses, which we think about, does this standard prepare students for the next level of learning? So what's next in their education, and will the standard help get them there? We also considered standardized tests. both state tests, college tests, things, career tests, those sorts of things. So does the standard help align with those tests? We also consider endurance. Is this a skill that's going to move with the student? It's something that's valued throughout life, not just in algebra class. And then leverage as well, so value in many disciplines. So is there overlap? Is it embedded in other areas of study that would help the student? So those are the 4 lenses that we look at the standards through as we determine where they will fall in our list of prioritization. And if the standard hits all 4 of those, that usually means it will be an essential standard. So that's something that's commonly assessed across our district. And then the standards that are not essential then become important and enhancing. They're all taught. But as we've said before, essentials are those ones that kind of rise to the top and then are commonly assessed.
There's a quote back here that I just want to highlight, that priority standards represent the assured student competencies that each teacher needs to help every student learn and demonstrate proficiency in by the end of the current grade or course. So if we think about it like a kindergartner is exposed to lots of different concepts, we're not expecting them to master every single one of those concepts. But there are some things they do need to know when they leave kindergarten going on to first grade. Those are our essentials. That makes sense. So those are the things that we absolutely need them to get. Then we're going to continue to teach. We're going to continue to assess and nurture these other skills and these other, standards, if we're going to, if we call them that, so that they're going to eventually achieve proficiency where that standard will then come up essential in another grade level. And so there's a lot of different standards at many different grade levels, and those essential ones are what we're really putting our priority on because we need these kiddos to understand those concepts before they move on. Looking ahead, the teams are going to continue to meet throughout this 2017-2018 school year, and so they will be creating standards-aligned proficiency scales and assessments that will go with those essential standards, and then teacher teams will have time to collaborate and continue studying best practices in mathematics instruction and really talking about how, what do we need to do, what changes do we need to make for our kids here in Bloomington to make sure they have the best experience in mathematics possible. Something that the team is really focused on is looking at how big of really we're in a time where our math performance as a country, as a nation is not where it should be. And so what do we need to do? How can we learn from other countries? How can we learn from other places to make sure that we're providing opportunities so that our kids are learning to think critically and able to work in jobs that we don't even know about yet. So that's something that this team is really focused in on. How do we teach our kids how to think critically? How do we teach them how to converse, how to talk to each other? What experiences do we need to provide for them in their K-12 mathematics experience here in Bloomington to set them up for success? So any questions?
Mr. Bergstrom?
Chair. Well, first of all, I would be wrong if I didn't say thank you for coming. It's nice to see all of you here. So I want to steal your quote. You said the beauty of mathematics. So I remember as a student viewing many different things as beautiful, and I cannot recall mathematics being one of those things. But I do like your characterization. I like the energy and the effort and the passion that you guys put into this. This isn't easy, what you're doing. It may not be fun, maybe it is. But I appreciate the work that you're doing. So it's nice that you're here and that I can say that to your face. But I see the work that you do, and I know that my coworkers do too. So we really appreciate what you do, and I'm going to steal that, the beauty of mathematics. I like that.
Oh, we can have conversations. Because we want students to appreciate this idea that you don't only learn math so that you can do something else. You know, you can look at patterns. You can look at patterns in nature, patterns in statistics. When you start looking at things more closely, you start to see that math is everywhere. And we want students to see that it has a purpose and a meaning in their world. And once you talk to students about how math is the science of patterns, or that math is science and puzzles, all of a sudden it opens their perspective that it's not just a procedure to follow, a right answer to get, steps that are like a recipe that could never be altered. And so we want students to see that the more they play around with it, the more things they notice and the more things they discover, and that's where that sense of beauty comes in.
Cool. Well, that helps with the presentation, too.
So I'm aware that some of our students who go to study in schools in other countries find themselves kind of surprised that at the same grade, the level of math is more advanced than what they have taken here. So what do you do with the students that actually come from other countries and find themselves to be kind of ahead of what is being taught in that grade level?
As we're looking at doing a bit of a transformation, if you will, of how we're thinking about mathematical learning and thinking, and brain science is now supporting a lot of what some really good researchers have done in the area of teaching and learning mathematics. We are able to differentiate with one problem. If we talk about things and we teach our kids to talk with each other and start to learn from each other, a teacher can present a problem to a class that will naturally differentiate itself. And so we could have children that are learning, on paper, they might be at a 3rd grade math level and then an 8th grade math level, all in the same classroom. And instead of focusing purely on the memorization part of it, we focus more on the thinking aspect and really encouraging kids to start to think about math. And it's really interesting if you talk to, a lot of students, a lot of the high schoolers that were here, and you ask them to explain some of the concepts that they've memorized, most kids can't do that yet. And that's where we're trying to go. We're trying to teach our kids how to think and how to think their way through complex tasks, maybe things they've never seen before, and also how to think through things that maybe seem simple to them, but really it was because they learned the procedures. But then if you give them a problem that does not follow those exact procedures, they're not sure what to do. So that's where we would meet those kids at. Okay. Find how do we expand their thinking to help them see numbers differently, and then where can we go from there?
An example of something that a teacher might do to differentiate something in a classroom is maybe you're studying volume. And so you have some students who are studying, how do you find volume with something, maybe looking at how many sugar cubes. You could also have students find as many different rectangular prisms that have a volume of 24. Now all of a sudden they're able to approach it in different ways. But then if you have a student who's really mastered that idea at a deep level, not a superficial level, now you can say something like, what would happen if you tripled each dimension? What happens to the volume? And a lot of students will say, well, it will triple. Well, try it out and see. Well, now all of a sudden you've taken a student who already had met the standard at that grade level, but you've pushed them along that learning trajectory and asked them to think of something in a different way. Or you could say, well, if the volume is this and you know the base and the area of the base, what must the height be? Now all of a sudden they're starting to unravel these ideas, and instead of following a procedure from start to finish, you've given them the finish. They have to go back and find out how that all fits together. Well, that encourages a different way of thinking. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you can have students who understand a concept to a certain point, but once you throw out a very easy question, now all of a sudden they're thinking about it in a new way. So that's an example of how you might differentiate with students where they're studying the same content, but you can give them different entry points into that concept.
And so now that you've prioritized the standards, how is that going to affect the way math is taught in our district? Is it going to be a big change that we're going to have to do a lot of professional development on to get the teachers to align their teaching with these standards? Or I don't know if you can speak about that for a minute.
Yeah, great question. So yes, we haven't really done much with math as an entire school district since 2007. Mm-hmm. And so yes, we need professional development. plan is in the works. What we are hoping to do is the team is created based on the National Council of Teachers Mathematics Principles, just a 2-page document that is a chart, if you will, and what we have on the chart are classroom actions, so things that we can aim to do in our classrooms, and then district and site leadership actions, so things that we can do from a leadership perspective to provide for teachers. A lot of those actions from the district level are professional development. For example, one is facilitating mathematical thinking. How do we teach our kids to start to talk about math? The standards are what we're here today to present to you with, but we would love to sit down if anybody wants to see. We've done a lot of what I would consider really deep, thoughtful work around this, and we'd love to share it with you. So if we can set up another time, that would be great. But there's a lot to it, and it will provide our kids with a really firm background in math wherever they want to go.
Now, there's a lot of levels, very complex. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds, but I guess a basic question: does our current curriculum support these prioritization of standards?
Our current mathematics, so our standards now are going to be our foundation, if you will. Our curriculum will be different learning activities or different experiences that the kids have along the way. In the past, our curriculum that was purchased for math at the elementary level was everyday mathematics. The version of everyday mathematics that we have and their current version that they're offering do not meet the Minnesota state standards, no.
Okay. Thank you.
I've been pondering how to word this. The fact that it says pre-K to 12 in math, and that there are 22 members of the elementary team, 18 members of the 6-12 team. Realistically, how do they all get along and come together in order to build a series of themes, steps, and everything else to go up to each grade level? There are some strong personalities in each of these groups that naturally are right, and others are learning and new and so forth like that. So coming from a corporate environment where you get teams together and there's always one element that's stronger and the rest kind of say, okay, let's just do that then. So I'm appreciating all of that's going into this and realizing that it's groundbreaking and going into some new things. But how is the transition from each grade, going along? As kind of Nellie was saying, and we have so many different levels of understanding, comprehension, as well as, like on the picture shows, one little girl with a Chromebook and 2 others maybe with paper or looking on that don't appreciate Chromebooks and the paper or the paperwork.
Well, the focus of our team was what's best for kids in learning mathematics. So that's
our theme.
Yeah,
as a school board.
Yeah, all of us. So that was our common grounding, understanding as a group. And then there was a lot of discussion in between teams, and so it wasn't like the second grade team just sat down, looked at second grade standards, and prioritized them. Instead, it was the kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade teachers sat down and prioritized the second grade standards. And then they looked on with the fourth and fifth and sixth grade teachers. And so the alignment the work that we've done this year to look at that alignment has happened because of teachers meeting together and discussing and talking through a lot of those things.
And a lot of teachers have served in a variety of roles. I'm currently at the elementary level in intervention, but I've been a classroom teacher. I've also been in intervention at the middle school level. And so a lot of teachers have a variety of experiences, but the importance was that we did look across the entire program to make sure that we were building successful mathematical thinkers from the beginning all the way through to graduation. But you're right. The idea was that the group had to come together and talk about what's best about teaching and learning mathematics. And the thing is that the research shows is that what works for very young learners also works for high school learners as well. The importance of modeling with mathematics, visualizing mathematics, moving things with hands. So the tools that we use, that's consistent.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I had a couple. Thank you again for all your work and for being here presenting tonight. One of the questions I had with the standards is when we say this is essential standard, are we saying this is the absolute minimum? If you're in kindergarten, if you can't count to 31, you're in trouble? Or are we saying essential standard is, no, if you get to 31, that's what we expect you to get to, and so that's passing?
So the essential standards as they're written would be the elementary report card is reported on 1 through 4. That would be your 3. So knowing that the 4 then is an extension of that 0 to 31, and then building up to that, and that's what we would be working on next year is determining then what those other numerical scores would mean, but that would be supporting that 3, if you will. Okay. So that would be the goal, that every single child would leave kindergarten being able to count up to and forward and backward to 31, but knowing that we differentiate and we have students with varying needs and abilities, and so then where do we go from there? So that's kind of our benchmark, if you will.
So all the rubrics will then have to change. I know I'd asked that question earlier, because I think right now the kindergarten rubric is the first grade standards.
Yeah, so good question. Our current mathematics program, Everyday Mathematics, as it's written, was never designed for Minnesota standards. Now, we've done a ton of work as a school district. I was part of that team 8 years ago that sat in July, and we created hole fillers, if you will. So we created lessons and activities for our kiddos here in Bloomington to meet those Minnesota standards, because the way that the actual book was written didn't, but we did. But with all of that, then we needed, and with the standards that we reprioritized, this is a great opportunity for us to look for materials that are going to best meet our kids' needs, looking at how we've had the same program now since it was actually the review cycle before that. So I think it was in 1999, I want to say, when we first purchased Everyday Mathematics. So yes, the assessments, the rubrics, that all needs to be rewritten. That would be the job of our team next school, this summer and next school year.
Okay. And then do we feel like, I mean, it seems like it would be obvious, but I want to ask anyways. So if a kindergartner counts to 30 and then a first grader counts to 120 and whatever it is, do we feel like then if they can do all the things on here, then when they go to take the standardized tests in third grade, their MCA tests, that then they should be considered proficient? Or is the standard lagging behind what the actual expectation is when they get to their MCAs?
The MCAs are aligned to the Minnesota state standards. So yes, if we are, doing right by our kids and we are exposing them and teaching the Minnesota state standards, and we are able to start in kindergarten, and by the time they get to third grade, yes, they will have reached proficiency on the MCAs.
And then I guess my last one, see, I think this stuff is great, so. My last one was, and maybe this is, I don't know, more of a philosophical question, but do we go into other subject areas to find what they need in math also and incorporate that? Like, I was just thinking, okay, if I'm in the cooking class and the recipe says there's 2 cups of flour for 8 kids, but I'm only making 3 servings, how much flour do I need? Like, do we do that sort of horizontal incorporation of the curriculum at all?
Absolutely, yes. So in part of that review cycle too, as we're reviewing different curricular areas, we go back and look for alignment. So when Rachel was leading ELA last year, they actually, as part of their work, they embedded social studies and science standards into that work, especially at the elementary level, when we just don't have enough time in the day and we wish we could keep the kids just a little bit longer so we could cover more and provide them with more experiences. Now we're really looking at how do we build really meaningful units or experiences for the kids as they move through school, and how do we create those cross-disciplinary connections that are so important to building their foundation. And I think Andy said earlier about hanging the, what they learn. They need something to connect it to. So how do we help them see those connections? Yeah.
And that was one of the lenses that we used to determine whether standards were essential, important, or enhancing, is that leverage. Is what is its value, that standard's value, when it's connected to science as a natural connection, but also to language. You can look at patterns in mathematics and patterns in language. You can look at social studies and how history influenced mathematics, or mathematics influenced history. And so the more connections that students can make, the deeper the learning becomes.
That's all I had. Thank you. I believe we have to vote on this one. All those in favor of approving this resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I believe now that brings us to number 3.
Mr. Chair, be it resolved that the School Board of Independent School District 271 approves 3-year agreements and contracts for certified athletic trainers at the high schools. The agreement with Twin Cities Orthopedics is for Jefferson High School. The contract with Tria Orthopedics is for Kennedy High School. The term of each agreement and contract is July 1, 2017 through June 30, 2020.
We have Rod Zivkovich.
Chair Oliva, Superintendent Fujitaki, board members. I'm here tonight helping out Eric Melby, who it's UGG bring up this resolution. What we did is we put out bids for our athletic trainer services. We received very strong bids coming back. Actually, 2 of the bids, the 2 that you're approving tonight, were identical. And so we thought the best way of working with the 2 organizations was to get each school to have one of the organizations, and just by chance, both the athletic directors of the 2 schools were fine with one, and the other one was fine with the other one. So it all worked out well in that process. We went back to the companies. They were both happy with the situation, and that's what you see as the resolution for tonight.
Any questions?
Well, this contains my my favorite phrase, at zero cost. So, thank you for that. Did you? How did you determine which school got which center? Was it just you just randomly said, "Well, let's do this school, that one," or?
No, we actually did is we sat down with the 2 activities directors, and we said, "This is the thought process we had." And one said, "I'll take this one." The other one said, "Well, I'll take this one." So it was a very easy decision from our part.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I notice the contracts are, they're not exactly the identical contracts, so there's a little bit different things. But it's basically we get an athletic trainer at pretty much every varsity event and some of the JV events and boys and girls sports. And is it, which one, Tria or? I forget. One of them actually has a physician, like a team physician. Does that sound right? About right? Well, it's in here. So yeah, I looked at this and I said, man, it looks like a pretty good deal if they're going to provide all these services for free. So I don't really see a downside for it, and they're community partners, and so.
And it gives us a good partnership with both organizations.
So no other questions? All those in favor? Okay.
I'm just thinking about if school board members get injured while they're watching any of the
It says
events,
specifically in here who's covered, and we are not. I looked.
He checked. He was open for
because the question comes up. I think it's a legitimate question. What if a fan gets injured?
Yeah.
And again, what if someone else is there and gets sick? What's the responsibility? And it does outline in here who actually they are supposed to. I can't imagine a physician's at a game, someone faints behind them in the stands, and they aren't going to help them. But it does outline who receives services and who's, they're authorizing service for. So, okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Approved. So now we are at number 4, post-secondary enrollment option.
Mr. Chair, be it resolved, the School Board of Independent School District 271 approves extending the post-secondary enrollment options, PSEO, agreement with Minnesota State Colleges and Universities, MINSCU, for the 17-18, 18-19, 19-20 school years at the same rate as the 2016-17 school year.
Second.
This is another agreement that we worked with Normandale Community College, actually 3 years ago, started looking at it, of how we both organizations could benefit by having a direct payment plan for our post-secondary enrollment options that were going to Normandale. Actually, this actual rate is actually going back to the first year, which was 15-16. So we've now will have 5 years that we've stayed consistent with the same rate from them. So we're both valuing the partnership very well, and it's saving us in the way of we're getting additional revenue that was kind of going through the state in the way of the state was processing it through. Now the students are directly, we get the full revenue of the students, and then we just pay the university at $225 a credit.
Okay. Any questions?
Do you know off the top of your head or ballpark of how many students that we have that are actually attending Normandale?
I could get that for you. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So when you say that we get the full credit for the students, so we get the full amount as though they're registered here, and then we just pay the portion then to Normandale?
Right, that they're
Per
at
credit.
Normandale.
Okay.
And before we would, the state would keep a portion of that in the middle. So it was the Normandale was getting less, and the district was getting less.
So this sounds like a good deal then for us?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good to me. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, passes. Thank you very much. And that brings us to number 5, bid award for exterior wall repairs.
Mr. Chair,
Yes?
be it resolved that the School Board of Independent School District 271, State of Minnesota, to 1, accept the Building Restoration Corporation, Roseville, Minnesota bid of $291,345 to provide exterior wall repairs at Ridgeview Elementary School, and 2, approve the contract with Building Restoration Corporation to accomplish this work.
Okay, Rod?
This is part of the all facility program that the board approves every year through our levy process, and also a couple of months ago we sold some bonds regarding that. We go through a bid process, and as you can see, we got some fairly good bids on here. The 291 was within the is actually less than what we were originally projecting.
Any questions?
I just have a question. Whenever we do these, and this is just a basic question, there is a spec or specs generated, and they all get copies of the specs, and then that's the bid, is how much time it's going to take, how much material, and this is what it's going to cost. So the fact that there is a gap is just the nature of the company bidding process. You have to meet the specs, yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of this resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Which brings us to number 6, resolution to non-renew probationary teachers.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
let's see. Just to start it like this, or? This one? From here to here? All right, and then just... All right, this one's going to take just a little bit. Be resolved by the School Board of Independent School District Number 271 pursuant to Minnesota Statutes 122A.40 that the teaching contract of Lindsay Adams, probationary teacher in Independent School District 271, is hereby terminated at the close of the current 2016-2017 school year, June 30, 2017, and is not renewed for the 2017-2018 school year. And be it resolved further that the clerk of the school board shall issue written notice to said teacher regarding non-renewal of the teacher's contract as provided by law, and that said notice shall be substantially the following form. Notice of termination. You are hereby notified that at a regular meeting of the School Board of Independent School District 271, held May 8, 2017, a resolution was adopted by a majority roll call vote giving action that your teaching contract will not be renewed effective at the end of the school year, June 30, 2017, and is not renewed for the 2017-2018 school year. Said action of the board is taken pursuant to Minnesota Statute 122A.40. You may officially request that the school board give its reason for the non-renewal of your teaching contract. However, such request must be received within 10 days after the receipt of this notice.
And before we move on, can I interject to ask a question? Could we amend this and move the approval of separate resolutions to non-renew and then include the list of names and just read the list of names, or do we need, I don't believe we need to go through each one individually.
You can do that. The practice here has been to give each person an individual vote.
Oh, an individual vote on each person?
That doesn't mean you have to do it that way.
Yeah, I didn't think we did it the last year. Okay. Well, does anybody have a preference? Any board member? Read the list, are we thinking, or each one individual? Okay.
Well, would we have to read the entire motion for each individual on that list, and there's like 26 of them?
Sure. In the past, what you've done is move the preceding resolution, but substitute the name of, and then you'd put the name of the second person, and then you'd have a roll call
Okay.
vote on that.
Yeah, that's
I think that's fine to do it that way.
Formality.
Okay. That makes sense.
Oh, okay, well, we'll have our,
We're going to do it individually.
before we vote on it, we'll have our Director of HR.
Okay. Chair Oliva, Superintendent Fujitaki, and members of the school board. This is the time of the year that I do come forward to the board with non-renewals for the next school year, or for the end of the school year. This can be due to many different reasons in the district, including enrollment shifts, program changes, variances expiring on licenses, performance. There's many reasons why we bring these forward. So it's my recommendation that you do non-renew. And again, there may be changes in the next few months. People may be called back. Jobs may open. You know, we just don't know. But this is what we need to do at this time. So.
Okay. Any questions?
Mr. Chair, just so I know how we're going to do this, would you like me, your motion was to read all of these at once?
I didn't make the motion yet. I was asking.
Sorry, you're asking for a motion to read all at once?
Yes.
And the other way of doing this would be one at a time and vote on each one individually?
Correct.
Is that how we're doing this? I seem to remember reading all the names at one time and then voting after they're read.
That was my recollection, which is why I'd asked.
Yeah, I think that's how we did it last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
All the names.
Are we in compliance if we do it that way?
Yes, provided that it's the same vote for each teacher.
Okay.
I mean, provided someone's not changing their mind on
Okay.
an individual.
Do we need to amend this at all, or can we just go ahead and read the list and then vote?
No, you need to amend it.
Have to amend it.
all right, so I move that we, can I make a motion on a, we don't even have a second on.
Yeah, we had a second.
We have a second.
Yep.
Okay. All right, I move that we read all of the names in one and then vote as one.
Okay, so go ahead and
Second.
read them, I think.
Second.
All right, we have our second. All right, so we,
Well, we have to vote on to amend it first. So is there any discussion on this? I mean-
Any discussion? Well, he didn't read the names yet, so I think he'd have to read the names and we'd have to
Okay.
vote on the amended names.
sounds pretty close to good.
It sounds close to
Okay.
what our intention.
All right, here we go. Eve Clark, Dorothy Davy, Wendy Duff, Lucas Ebert, Daniel Geiske, Jessica Granick, Naomi Greenblatt, David Harry, Julie Harvey, Anthony Holcomb, Hannah Kelly, Stacy Kearns, Allie Klepper, Vanessa McDuffie, William Miller, Amy Papke, Victoria Parker, Megan Scherber, Jacqueline Smith, Heather Starks, Sarah Sundberg Perry, Heather Weber Halbert, Lisa Waddell Uecki, and Kelly Wernes.
Okay, so do we have, I'll second that motion. Do we have any discussion on that amended motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, we can vote on the amendment, then we do a roll call vote for the entire thing. So all those in favor of amending the original motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay, now I believe we're ready for a roll call vote on the motion as amended. So we can start down here.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. And that brings us then to number 7, placement of non-probationary community education teachers on unrequested leave of absence.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So I move the approval of separate resolutions to place the following non-probationary community education teachers on unrequested leave of absence. Lauren Brooks and Laura Goying. And therefore be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District number 271 as follows, that the above named non-probationary community education teachers be and are hereby placed on unrequested leave of absence from a position of early childhood family education teacher without pay or fringe benefits effective at the end of the 2016-17 school year, June 30th, 2017, pursuant to Minnesota Statute 122A.40 and the unrequested leave provisions as negotiated. 2, that the clerk of the school board shall issue written notice to be sent to said teacher regarding this placement of unrequested leave of absence, and said notice shall be in essentially the following form. You are hereby notified that at a regular meeting of the School Board of Independent School District 271 held of May 8, 2017, a resolution was adopted by majority roll call vote of the full membership of the school board, placing you on unrequested leave of absence as a teacher of Independent School District number 271, effective at the end of the 2016-17 school year on June 30th, 2017, pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 122A.40 of representative of the current master agreement between the school district and the exclusive representative without pay or fringe benefits. A copy of the resolution duly adopted by the school board is attached hereto for your information.
Second.
Again, this just is the continuation of the list of people who are being non-renewed. We separated this out because they're past their probation period.
Any questions?
Aye.
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 Okay, and then that brings us to number 8, placement of non-probationary community education teacher on partial unrequested leave of absence.
Mr. Chair, whereas the School Board of Independent School District number 271, Bloomington, Minnesota, adopts a resolution to place Ms. Jenna Samaju, a non-probationary community education teacher in Independent School District 271, on partial unrequested leave of absence, and therefore be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District 271 as follows, that Jenna Samaju be and is hereby placed on partial unrequested leave of absence without pay or fringe benefits for 40 hours per week while retaining 13.42 hours per week early childhood family education teacher position in the district, effective at the end of the 2016-17 school year on June 30th, 2017, pursuant to the Minnesota Statutes 122A.40 and the negotiated leave policy of the district. And that the clerk of the school board shall issue written notice to be sent to said teacher regarding this placement of unrequested leave of absence, and said notice shall be in essentially the following form. You are hereby notified that at a regular meeting of the School Board of Independent School District 271 held on May 18, 2017, a resolution was adopted by majority roll call vote of the full membership of the school board, placing you on partial unrequested leave of absence as a teacher of Independent School District 271, effective at the end of the 2016-17 school year on June 30th, 2017, pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 122A.40 of the current master agreement between the school district and the exclusive representative without pay or fringe benefits. A copy of the resolution duly adopted by the school board is attached hereto for your information.
Second.
Okay.
Again, this is a third resolution because it's a partial reduction, so.
Are there any questions about this? Okay, we have to vote one more time.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And that brings us to number 9, Bloomington Advocacy Council, new member.
Mr. Chair.
Director Stegoff.
Be it resolved that the School Board of Independent School District 271 approves Patty Artiel as a member of the Bloomington Advocacy Council, BAC, for the 2016-2017 school year. Patty Artiel will be the teacher representative. Approval of this action also modifies the current membership categories of the BAC. Further, Siri Stroman has resigned from the BAC. Her name will be removed from the membership list.
Second.
Second.
Okay, so would anybody like to speak to this one? No? We're all there. So we, I guess at the advisory council meeting, we had talked, we said, well, you know, the teachers also have an advocacy, a legislative advocacy group, and it would be nice to have a teacher here as a representative. Now, we do have John Anderson there, but he wants to be there as a community member, not as a teacher, not as a member, you know, as a representative from the BFT. So we thought, well, it would be a good idea to also have, you know, a BFT person here, because so that way we aren't doubling our efforts, or I'd say, so that our efforts work together jointly instead of we're doing our own thing, you know, irregardless of what they're doing. So we thought it was a good partnership, would make sense. So
And
that's
I
how
understand
this came
she
up.
is also involved in the legislative,
Yeah.
legislative side for the Bloomington.
So I think I got that all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just add also that Siri actually had said that she could join us, but then never could make the times of the meeting. So she really just decided that she was overcommitted and was not able to ever join us, and thought it was best to remove her name.
Yeah, and
So.
make room for someone else.
Mhm.
So we appreciate
Yeah.
that. Any questions? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes. Brings us to board member reports. Who would like to start? Director Bergstrom.
Hey. All right, well, I pared mine down a little bit, so we'll just do 3. 9/17 had a board meeting last Tuesday. Went over some new ideas for the superintendent evaluation form. We're kind of grafting from different districts, just trying to revamp that particular form that we use, and it was interesting to get the input from board members there. Also wanted to make sure that for those that I know were listening in and wanted to hear my vote, we did vote on our health services contract there, as the percentages on that contract exceeded what we had agreed on here. My vote was abstained. Just want everyone to know that I'm not voting one way in one district and a different way in another district. I had the opportunity to travel down to Denison, Minnesota. If you haven't been there, you should go. It's a nice place. It's a little bit south of Northfield. It happens to be outside of a 40-mile radius of the airport. And why is that important? Because the DA students went down there to launch their balloon, and it can carry up to a 12-pound payload. And the 12-pound payload is a magic number that correlates to the 40-mile radius, because the airport commission thinks that an average goose weighs 12 pounds, and apparently jet engines can ingest a goose, as long as it's just one, and keep flying. So their payload can't be more than 12 pounds. I learned that because I asked a lot of questions. They had a great big balloon. They filled it up with a tank and a half of helium. They tied it off with a bunch of zip ties. And Erin Boltic did a great job of keeping her feet on the ground because the balloon wanted to sort of yank her off the ground. The kids all worked together in tandem. It was a beautiful day. They had 4 different experiments. And some of them, they had little hand warmers they put inside because this balloon can go up to 100,000 feet. And so they wanted their experiment, the batteries on the experiment, to continue to work. And it gets really cold up at 100,000 feet. So it was really, really interesting to just to see how that works, to talk to the kids. They were more than happy to share. Kudos to the teachers that put that program together. And the students, they came up with their own experiments. They just decided what they wanted to do and came up with them. Also had an opportunity to attend Diversity Day. I was over on the Kennedy side. Let's see, Kennedy had 12 stations, 14, sorry. 14 booths. Some of them were just, I'm just going to name a few: Student Government, Discover Ethiopia, The Joy of Voting, the League of Women Voters was there. There were representatives from the LGBT community there. Had a nice conversation there. Somalia, chants, hip-hop culture, changing the world, Office of Educational Equity. That's just a few of them. But it's a great opportunity for the kids to learn. So some of the kids started at Kennedy, went to Kennedy, over to Jefferson. Jefferson had similar programs over there, and I believe the Jefferson students came to Kennedy, if I'm getting that one right. Anyways, it's a great day for the kids to just to be able to learn and experience, and that was a wonderful experience for me. That'll do it for me.
Thank you for that. Who'd like to go next? Nothing else? Okay.
Well, I'll just remind everyone that the 100th birthday celebration is coming up in a week on May 19th, so you can still, there's still a few spots left. Come and join us for our celebration.
I am going. Are all the board members going? Yes? Yes. You haven't got your ticket yet? You sign up. All right.
That's why I'm doing this publicly.
That's why you're doing it publicly. We should take a roll call vote. Who is going? Yeah. Yeah, we'll take a roll call. Okay. Anybody else?
I don't know why my microphone is so hot or so loud, but
Blow your nose on it.
If they wanted to hear you
Yeah,
say it.
the Superintendent Evaluation Committee met and revised the instrument that we use, and so it has come out in a draft form. I don't know, did they all get a copy? Just the committee, because we'll meet again as a subcommittee and then make the final touches and agree that it will be, and then it will be sent out to everybody. It seems every year we have some revision to it, but it covers pretty much the same 6 categories that we have used in the past with a few different questions. So just to alert you that we're working on that. That's all. Other than attending all those carnivals that Dick and Don and I did, those are always so much fun.
The District Diversity Committee met again, and this time it was we had a presentation from Dr. Khalifa, who's the person doing the equity work for the district. So that was the first time I got to meet him, and it was great to hear him. So I guess we're well on our way now, and there was also some discussion of the needs assessment that has started, and people getting that done and getting their questions answered. So also I had a chance to go over to City Hall and join our families and students at the recognition of some of our art students, and then enjoyed looking at their artwork displayed upstairs. Also, I went to the CCAC dinner where you had the awards two of the awards winners here tonight, and I just can't say enough what a great event that is, recognizing people that do exceptional work. And tonight I couldn't help but think that we had someone that works in the Office of Equity and Education and someone that's a bus aide that were nominated, because when I joined that committee, I think in 1997, only general education teachers got those awards. So we've greatly expanded and recognized that sometimes it can be someone serving lunch that makes or breaks a student's day, and not just only a certain teacher or whatever. So I'm just glad that they expanded that. I also wanted to say congratulations to Chuck Vavrosky, who the Minnesota Wrestling Coaches Association named him the Class 2A State Coach of the Year. And I just wanted to say that when he was in high school, he wrestled my husband in high school. They wrestled against each other at one time. They were opponents. So.
Anybody else? Attended the Advocacy Council meeting, Advocacy Committee meeting. And so, yep, we are making progress, still sort of getting our traction on the ground, figure out how we're going to work most efficiently and effectively, and really starting to make plans for next year. Also went to the Ridgeview Carnival, so thank you to all the staff and volunteers that make the carnival happen every year. My daughter, I think her favorite was fishing over the, they throw the paperclip over the wall, and she really feels like she's getting a fish, so she appreciates that. And for Drew's Donuts for making an appearance to sell mini donuts for us once again. That brings us to Superintendent Report.
Great, thank you. I have 3 topics. First, administration requests a motion to establish a board retreat on May 15th at 6 p.m. at the Bloomington Chamber of Commerce. The topic will be financial planning.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Second topic is the statutory end date for the 2017 legislative session is May 22nd. The board's legislative committee and the Bloomington Advocacy Council, under the leadership of President-elect for the state PTA program, is Heather Starks, and they're doing a great job informing the policymakers so they can make an informed decision to fund education. And the last topic is the pond open house. There will be the pond clinic. There will be an open house on Wednesday, May 10th, from 3 to 5 p.m. So everyone's welcome. And that concludes my report.
Is there any other business to come before the board? Any questions? Okay, hearing none, I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.